Right, guys, what we're doing today is we're talking about Welsh moves closer to major electoral reform. Well, they basically had a vote the other day, and it isn't 100% gone through yet, but we'll talk about that, and also the new Welsh budget. Now, this is the hillbilly halfwit talking about Welsh Labour and the Senedd, as you know. So please subscribe to see some of the goings on in the Welsh Senedd, the dodgy stuff and the lies. So, like I said, if you share these videos, it'll help this stuff get out there. Anyway, we'll start off with electoral reform. Now, I've seen a lot of people sharing these things, but not really explaining what's going on. And it's very, very, very dodgy. So the other day they had a vote and it was voted through, but they still got one more vote to go from what I understand. So this started off. Now, Wales has moved a step closer to major electoral reform as a two-day debate in the Senedd ended today. And Welsh Labour and Plaid Cymru basically voted it through. The Conservatives and Liberals are very worried because the smaller parties might get shut out. What they're doing, they're adding 36 more Senedd members, and it's a closed voting list. So what actually happens, this is the worrying thing about this, I think he's creating a way for him to get a job and people to get jobs without being voted in. So with this new way, it's not going to be your local candidate who votes to get in. What you'll do is you'll vote in a general election for Labour or Liberals or Conservative or whatever, and then a certain amount of these MPs are picked by the Labour Party themselves, and you have to have them. So there's gender mixes in it as well. So they have to be a certain amount of women and males, and I don't know, does that work with transgender as well? So you could be in a little county in Wales, one of these areas, and they give you a transgender MP that you don't know running your whole county, and there's nothing you can do about it. Or if one of the Labour, Conservatives, Liberal MPs do some kind of offence, and nick money or a sexual offence or something or other, as it is now, you can recall the MP and have another election, and then basically they lose their job. But now, with this new reform, what they do is they just chuck that guy out and put another one in who they decide, and they don't have an election. So that doesn't sound very democratic to me. But there we are. I'm not 100% sure about this. I don't like it a lot because it looks a bit dodgy. So what I was thinking about this was that Drakeford could be in a position now where he's chucked out as leader, but he could get onto one of these lists and he could get straight back into a job again as an MP. Sorry, an AM. Easily, and get on the backbenches without having to do anything or being voted in. So there's going to be quite a few cronies in this again, creating jobs. Probably a lot of them ex-EU Labour MPs will be going in there. But anyway, here's a bit more about it. Counsel General Mick Antwin, steering the bill through, is confident it will get through with the 2/3 majority because they use Plaid Cymru to get them through, and Plaid are after it as well. There's a few more amendments, but because Plaid are helping and they want this bill to go through, it's going to go through. And that's it. So that hasn't happened yet. It'll happen fully voted through in a few months, I think. If just one or two MPs would go against this, they could make them push to do stuff, but they won't. So, as I say, this is a bit dodgy. It means that people in the Labour Party, or any party for that matter, with a certain amount, they can pick a certain amount of people to go in a certain amount of area, AMs in seats, and you don't have to know the person, which I'm not very keen on. So that's that. Oh, this one dropped in there by mistake. There he is. Look, here is our big Welsh leader. Loves his 20 mile an hour. Loves his 20 mile an hour. He's happy with it. So before we go on to the finances bit, this is where I was going to start the video, because I heard this finance bill had been put through. I want to just go through this again to show you about the money things and show how little money that these people are talking about. So this is the budget for Wales over the next few years. And if you look at the top, it's the wages of areas, like I said before yesterday. So health, wages for doctors and all that. And as you go round, you'll see rural affairs is nothing as usual. And at the bottom is total capital funding for building things, building roads and things like that. So if you look in rural affairs, it's nothing. It's 300 million altogether. Look at climate change. That's 4.8 billion. Yes, 4.8 billion. So that's, I think a billion is 1,000 million, isn't it? I think. So there's 4.8 billion there. And rural affairs is just 300 million. If you look around health and social services, so they're spending not a huge amount on building hospitals and things. Same as the other. Anyway, just to show you what it is. So we look here again. Welsh Government from 22 to 25, 4.8 billion on climate change. Health and social services, 1.1 billion. Economy, 390 million. So when you get these billions into your head, remember 1,000 million is a billion. So 4.8 billion is the climate budget, while everything else is having to pay for it. So now we'll go on to what they've signed off. This is the budget. Welsh budget approved yesterday amid concerns over public service cuts. Now, when you see me going through this, after we were talking about billions, you'll see what I mean. Senedd backed the Welsh Government spending plans for 24 to 25 despite concerns about extreme cuts to public services. Rebecca Evans told the number of an extra 190 million has been allocated to the final budget for the 12 months from April since draft plans were published last year. Wales Finance Minister said the extra funding has been allocated to areas where pressures are most severe, with 14.4 million for council to spend on social care and schools. Now, remember I was talking to you before? Only 300 million on agriculture, but 4.8 billion on climate change, and they're worrying about this. So they're cutting all your services for 14.4 million, which is nothing in the scheme of it. MS Evans said the Welsh Government has reversed a 10.5 million cut to the social care workforce grant and restored 5 million to the Children and Communities grant. That's 10.5 million. It's nothing compared to this 4.8 billion climate budget. She said an extra 10 million will be made available for apprenticeships and employment in case Tata Steel blast furnaces close down. 10 million. It's nothing. They're talking about pence when they're giving billions and billions to this climate budget. It's all a big sham. Plaid Cymru's Shadow Minister said it's highly regrettable that we are voting on a final budget today before the final major fiscal event in Westminster. We have long called for the Treasury to treat the Senedd with respect when it comes to fiscal timing events. Now, as we're going through this, everybody watching this living in Wales, you ought to know that you're going to get a 10% rise in your poll tax. You're going to get, if you've got a house you're renting out to people who are on holiday, it's got £6,000 a year that's going to cost you. Business rates are going back up from pre-pandemic levels, which were dropped. In England, you don't pay very high business rates because they were helping the business to rise up from COVID. In Wales, that's going back up to full level and more. So everything is going up to pay for this climate budget of 4.8 billion, while they're cutting everything for the poor in society. That's what's actually happening here. And when you're talking about children's things being cut, and they're trying to cut 5 million here, 10 million here, 10 million for the Tata blast furnaces, there's 5,000 people going to be out of work there. It's a big sham. They're arguing over peanuts when they're actually spending 4.8 billion on the climate. It's laughable, and he's the guy in charge of it all. That is the fella in charge of it all. That's life that's going to be under Welsh Labour now until people decide to change. Now, there's something else I found I thought I'd chuck on the end. I don't know if everybody's still here, but it's this: the warning signs of a cult. Number 1, the leader is always right. Number 2, criticism of the leader or question the leader is considered persecution. Number 3, anything the leader does is justified no matter how harmful it may be. 4, the leader is the only source of the truth, everybody else is lying. 5, followers must be blindly devoted to the leader and never question him. And 6, the members won't recognise they belong to a cult. Now that is true of what's going on with this climate agenda and the Welsh Labour Party in Wales. And I'm Welsh, I'm a happy Welshman, I was born and bred in Wales, and this is why I'm sharing this, because I'm worried about my country. Because we have a cult running it. This is what's going to happen. And this guy's at the helm at the moment, but there's going to be another just like it along before long. So, remember, that's what's going on in Wales. So please comment, rate and subscribe. And he'll be gone soon, but there'll be another to take his place. And as I said, I think he will come back as one of these MPs that doesn't need to stand in this new voting reform. He's a crafty bugger. All right, ta-da! Please comment, rate and subscribe.